Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Stick around, I'll share my thoughts. I'm Peter Franson from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. This is my uncut review of Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi, episodes 1 and 2 on Disney+. The synopsis for the series reads, Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi watches over young Luke Skywalker. No, doesn't look like it. And evades the Empire's elite Jedi hunters during his exile on the desert planet Tatooine. Synopsis for Episode 1 says, when agents of the Empire pose a new threat, Obi-Wan Kenobi emerges after years of hiding. Okay, we could have figured that out from the promos for the series. Episode 2 synopsis, on a dangerous crime-ridden world, Obi-Wan becomes a target. These really don't share the most telling information that would have told me whether or not I was going to enjoy this series, maybe. He's the last Jedi, or not. He's not the last Jedi, but he's one of the last Jedi. There are some others scattered around. They're kind of being the little stragglers being hunted down by the Empire. Obi-Wan is staying hidden while watching Luke from afar. At least there's one scene where he does that. He gets word that the intelligent, spunky, and headstrong Leia has been kidnapped, and presumably begins, I guess, world-hopping adventures with her on the run. That's what it looks like this series is going to be. For a show not truly leaning into character performances and drama the way I would like, the setup and establishing of Obi-Wan I think takes way too long for me. Almost equal time, at least it felt like, is given to Leia, who is... The character says at one point that she's 10. That actress does not look 10 to me. I have an 11-year-old and she looks like she's 7. Or 8, maybe max. I don't know. Anyway, she's written like a children's movie hero, you know? She is more intelligent than I think she should be, more, headstrong and right about things, and not so much leaning into that. And I guess you could make the argument, well, Leia is a really special female hero in pop culture, and we want to represent the beginnings of that here. I mean, I can respect that, but that still results in the kind of prototypical children's movie hero. And movies that are written for children, that are about children and have children as the protagonists, the grown-ups are doofs and the kids are the ones that are smart and know what's going on. And I'm not into it. I'm not into it. And at the same time, Luke, his story has always been much more at the center than Leia's. He has a conflict. He's got major choices to make about what he's going to be, whether he's going to go down the path of his father or not. His story has always been more interesting. And so I think to foreshadow that would be a lot more interesting than to foreshadow Leia's story. I don't know. I mean, that's personal preference. I think there's a way that you could do a story with Leia that's in this time period between the prequels that involves Leia and Obi-Wan Kenobi that would work better for me, and I'll come back to that in a little bit. I would really rather this be a series about Obi-Wan and Anakin, and they're certainly teasing that. They've certainly been indicating that. If you look at IMDb, Hayden Christensen, who played Anakin Skywalker in the prequels, is credited for being in all 6 episodes. Leia credited for 6. And I should add, on IMDb, she comes before Ewan McGregor on the listing. So it's like any hope I had that it was going to de-emphasize her at some point was dashed by that. If she's listed even before Ewan McGregor, yikes. The show is called Obi-Wan Kenobi. What is going on? What is happening here? Anyway, for this to be a show about Obi-Wan versus Anakin, I mean, you would have to get really creative in writing around that duel between the two characters in A New Hope, where Vader says, last time I was with you, I was but the learner, now I am the master. So I guess they could have interactions in this series that would still kind of put him comparatively as a learner, but I don't think that was the spirit of that comment. I think we're meant to think that the last time they were together was when he was, I guess, under the tutelage in some way of Obi-Wan. Anyway, I don't know. It just seems very unlikely that I'm going to get a big focus on Obi-Wan versus Anakin in this show, even though I would love it. Despite characters dying and even a hand getting cut off at one point, the focus on Leia and how her character is written and performed makes this feel like a children's movie to me. I'm out. Spoilers, I'm out. But let me talk about the cast, the visuals, and the themes, because there are some interesting themes they're returning to that just kind of boggle my mind. Cast. Ewan McGregor, solid as Obi-Wan in my estimation, but I'm just clearly not going to get the performance opportunities for him that I want this show to give him. It's just not, I don't think, going to be that kind of show. Vivian Lyra Blair plays Leia, and she is solid for a child actor. You know, I'm not going to rag on her, but it's important to say I typically don't connect with child actors, even the ones that would be considered good. And I think she can be considered good, I think. I don't know. But I especially don't connect with child actors when they're playing roles written for them to sound and act suspiciously like adults or older than they are, as seems to be the case here. To be clear again, she does fine. This is a me problem, but the problem remains. If you don't give me Dakota Fanning level, I'm out. You know, I'm just not interested in less. Just because there's something about the realism, there's something about they just haven't been alive as long, and you sometimes get these really unusual performances and caliber of performances from young actors like Dakota Fanning, but most of the time you don't, and that means that most of the time I'm just not going to enjoy child characters that are the main focus in movies and TV shows. An easy fix, at least for me, would have been to add a little aging to Ewan McGregor and place this story 5 to 10 years further along. If they're really dead set on making this Adventures with Leia, then put her in her teens or early 20s. As I said, supposedly she's 10 here, but Vivian Blair reads as about 7 to me. I have an 11-year-old. She seems much younger. But anyway, yeah, put her, do a story, do a on-the-run Adventures with Obi-Wan between Leia and Obi-Wan when she's 15 or 20 or something, and I think that would have a much better chance of working for me. Okay, stunts and visuals, you know, the effects I think are all fine, but I don't think they're top tier for streaming. I've definitely seen more convincing effects, and green screen in particular falters a little bit to my eye. And many shots just kind of felt standard and uncinematic, uncreative. There is kind of an established cinematic language in the way that most Star Wars stories are told, but I would really love them more and more to break from that and get more creative. I think there's just some cool things that can be done that enhance the drama when you use the camera in some creative ways. So yeah, that's not doing anything for me here. As far as themes, is there anything of moral, philosophical, or spiritual significance in the themes of this thing that might trigger some worthwhile thought or conversation? It's a small thing, and it popped up 2, maybe 3 times in the script, but it was enough that I was like, really? We're really doing this again? In my review for the movie Solo, I made the observation that the way that they were treating droids in Star Wars, beginning with that movie, as though, like, you know, using them as a metaphor for, like, slavery and how the droids should be free and they should be thought of as people. I mean, they were leaning into that in Solo, which I thought was really weird. Because that they pick up that baton here. There's a couple scenes where Leia is seen as virtuous because she respects droids, and those that are snobby and presumably, I guess, racist or something are dismissive of droids as people, not treating them as people. So that is clearly how we are supposed to think of droids. But then if you go back and watch the original trilogy, you're going to see Luke for sure, but I think also other characters to different degrees at other times basically being droid racists and being really rude. And I think that's because at the time, the droids were not ever conceptualized to function as a metaphor for an actual living human being. When you do that, it just gets weird, and it casts those stories and those characters in a weird light. So I think that we're supposed to laugh when Luke and other characters mistreat 3PO and other droids and not think philosophically about the nature of their existence and whether or not they are persons. I think that arguing with 3PO, this is how it struck me, is supposed to parallel, if anything, arguing with your car, arguing with the microwave when it's not working, arguing with technology that's just frustrating you, malfunctioning equipment of any kind. Treating them as life is weird to me, and it weirdly turns heroes in this franchise into racists. And I'm wondering why. Why do this now? Is that someone's desire to prepare us to be open-minded to the personhood of AI in the future? I mean, that seems like a stretch. Like, I don't know why someone would take that on as their agenda right now. That's a really weird gamble. But if it's a metaphor for some other present-day human demographic that we're supposed to see in droids, again, turns our heroes into racists. Weird. I don't get it. Anyway, I have no idea what your tastes are in TV shows, but if I were a time traveler, I'd go back in time and say, Pater. Oh, yeah, skip this one. Once again, you're just going to be reminded that even though you did get your hopes up, you thought maybe this one looks like it could be different. It's got all the ingredients. It's got Ewan McGregor was a big thing to me. Getting Hayden Christensen back too is like, maybe they're really going to do something striking and different. It's not a little thing to get either of those actors back, but especially Ewan McGregor. What would have attracted him? And so that's what you're going to think. But don't think that, Pater, because it's just going to be more Disney. Disney gonna Disney. And they Disneyed again here. And you'll be reminded again that although Star Wars, with its lightsabers and force powers and bizarre aliens and spaceships and its many, many worlds, is one of the richest settings in all of fiction. But in your adult life, it is rarely ever told a story or portrayed characters that have had much of any substance or emotional impact, or in recent years, even mild interest for you. And that's just going to be the case again here. So don't set yourself up for disappointment. End your workday a little bit early and skip this one. It's rated TV 14, 13, I don't know, for V, which I assume is violence. And, so it's pretty tame, Disney gonna Disney, and that's what you'll get here. And those are all my thoughts for now on Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, the first 2 episodes. I would, as always, love to get your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. Are you a Star Wars fan? Did this connect with you? Was this what you wanted? Was it not? Was it disappointing as a Star Wars fan? Has this made you a Star Wars fan? I would be really surprised if that was the case, but maybe. Anyway, I'd love to get your thoughts and reactions. As always, please like, share, subscribe, click that bell to stay connected. I want to thank the Spirit Blade Insiders for making this review possible. You can get info about the benefits of joining over at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions. And as of just 2 weeks ago, everyone at the $1 tier can get my new audio drama adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's From Beyond, just at the $1 tier. So all that and more over at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions. Then I hope you will check out our podcast and stay connected to all Christian Geek Central content over at christiangeekcentral.com as we continue to geek out and seek the truth.